Hi, Simon from Kelmat here. Today I want to run you through the installation of our wind and sight screens. So it's a fairly straightforward process, but there are a few little tricks that might make things go a little bit easier. So first thing is the springs that have been supplied with your screens. You've got to hook them on in the correct way. So what you want to do is find the crossover point in the chain mesh. You want to come in from the back, and you want to spin that spring around so that it hooks onto the intersection in the wire and it can't move around. If you hook it on just to one wire, it will slide around, and with wind that may come off in time. Now, the first thing you want to do when you're putting up your screen is find your corner. So you'll be working from a corner post or a gate post, and you want to get the right height because that's really important with having your screen looking nice and straight. Out, and what you want to do is hang it on the fence, and then if you grab 3 springs and hook them onto the D-ring down the bottom, that should be pretty close to the cord surface. So you'll have one spring going up and one spring going across. The spring that's going sideways, you want to have that one full diamond out from the post. So you've got your spring at the top and your spring on the side, and that will set the position of your screen, so that can't go anywhere now. So what you want to do now is work your way across, and you want to hang your screen loosely just to take the weight of the screen, and that will make it easier to put your springs on top. Your screen loosely hanging on the fence, it's a matter of going across and putting all of your top springs in place. A really important thing to do is make sure that you are keeping the springs at a consistent height. So what you want to do is find the diamond where your first spring is, and you want to follow that along and make sure that all of your springs stay at that height. If you drop down a diamond or go up a diamond, you'll end up with some creasing coming from that point. Top of the screen is hung, we've got all the springs on there. We need to go along and do the bottom. This is where the hooks come in that you will have been supplied with your screens. The idea of these is that they can be used to get some good tension on the springs, which makes it a lot easier than trying to do it with your hand. So what I'll do now is just get this bottom corner fixed into position similar to at the top, and then I'll work my way along, and using these hooks I'll get some tension on the springs along the bottom of the screen. It's really important that the screen is tight, because if those springs are just hanging loosely on the bottom, what will happen over time is that wind will shake the screen around, and those springs will eventually come off. So you need to have some nice tension on the bottom. Again, that's why we put those 3 springs on the bottom at the start to set our height. We need about 300 mil from the quartz surface to the bottom of the screen, and that just means that we have enough room to attach our springs at the bottom and get some tension on those. Again, with the springs on the bottom, it's important that you've got them attached at the crossover point, the intersection in the chain mesh, just to make sure they can't slide sideways. If they're on that single wire, they can slide backwards and forwards, and they can come off over time. The top and bottom springs are in place. The last thing that you need to do is get your side springs on to get some nice sideways tension. If your screen's been placed correctly, you've got that gap at the start of about 1 diamond from the post to the first hook on the spring. You should have a similar gap at the other end, so there should be approximately 150 mil of space on either end of the screen. When it's done, it should be nice and tight to reduce any flapping with the wind. Periodically you might need to replace some springs if they have stretched out under really strong wind conditions, so keep an eye on those. Other than that, That's all. If you have any issues when you install your screen, please don't hesitate to call our office or send us an email, and we'll help you out. Thanks for watching.